Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are breaking down week 20 of fantasy hockey. If you've seen these videos, you already know what the deal is. We are going to be looking at the best schedules, the worst schedules, the best streamers to help you win your matchup, and pretty much everything in between. So let's dive right into it. Before we get into the schedule, I quickly want to talk about some must-add players that could be sitting on the market for you. Number one, Ville Husso of the Detroit Red Wings. The Red Wings are making a push for the playoffs, and he has played absolutely incredible. If he is somehow on your waiver wire in a more shallow league, I suggest you go pick him up. He will give you a lot of fantasy points. Then we have Filip Gustavsson and Phoenix Copley, also guys that are pretty much starting goaltenders on their team. I know Fleury just got a shutout, but Gustavsson is still getting majority of the starts, so I feel good about him moving forward for the rest of the season. And obviously Copley is getting the majority of starts as well. Then we have Artturi Lehkonen, Valeri Nichushkin, and Bowen Byram, all on the Colorado Avalanche. They have played super good as of late, especially Bowen Byram. With Makar out, he's seen a lot more opportunities, but I think he's breaking out as a young player, so even when Makar comes back, he is going to be solid. Not only are they must-add players because of their recent performance, but Colorado also has the best playoff schedule in the league. I will be making a video on the playoffs in a couple of days, and I'm going to be talking about how important Colorado Avalanche players will help you for the fantasy playoffs. They have so many off nights, so if you want to add them early on now, get ahead of the game, definitely look at these three players. Then we have Anthony Duclair of the Florida Panthers. He just returned from his ACL surgery. He racked up an assist, put up really good peripherals as well. And I think with Florida being able to score a lot of goals, Duclair is going to be solid moving forward. Hopefully he doesn't have any setbacks with his recovery. Then lastly, we have Dawson Mercer of the New Jersey Devils. I was super high on him a couple of months ago, and he's been pretty consistent the whole year. He's really picked it up as of late with 9 points in his last 5 games and also 7 goals in these last 5 games. The Devils offense is incredible, and he's a young player, so this could be him breaking out. Moving on to the week 20 best schedules, we have a bunch of teams that have 4 games and also a bunch of off nights, so really good for maximizing your schedule this week. We have 11 teams on this list, and as you can see here, I ranked them by off nights first, and then if off nights are tied, I go to opponent strength. So let's start it off with the Vegas Golden Knights at the #1 spot. They have 4 games and all off nights. They do have a tough opponent record, but with Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday being heavy nights, this team is extremely good for maximizing your schedule. Then we have the Detroit Red Wings, who have 5 games this week, only 2 off nights, but for some of you, Tuesday or Thursday could be a potential spot open. So if you had a player from the Red Wings, they could give you 3 off nights potentially. With 5 games, I just think it's super solid. A lot of good streaming options as well. Then we have the Ducks, Devils, and Canes, all having 3 games and 3 off nights. Moving on, we have the Avalanche, the Coyotes, and the Oilers having 4 games and 3 off nights. You might want to look at your schedule for the Coyotes because for some of you, Tuesday, you might have a roster spot available. If that's the case, then Coyotes will have 4 games and 4 off nights for you, which is super beneficial. Then lastly, we have teams with 4 games and 2 off nights, number 9, 10, and 11 being the Dallas Stars, the Seattle Kraken, and the Montreal Canadiens. But again, check your schedule and see if you have any open spots for Tuesday and Thursday, because then this order might look a little different for you. For the worst schedules this week, ranked by off nights and opponent strength, we have the New York Islanders having the hardest schedule, only 2 games. The Flyers also only having 2 games. And then we have the Calgary Flames, who do have 3 games this week, but they have an absurd opponent record. They have some really tough matchups, so I don't like their players putting up some fantasy points this week. You never know, but I would generally avoid streaming players from this team. Then lastly, we have the Washington Capitals, who do have the best opponent record this week, but with only 2 games, this is not good for maximizing your schedule. For the easiest schedules this week, which is ranked by opponent strength, we have the #1 easiest schedule being the Washington Capitals with a .381 opponent record. Only 2 games, but expect a lot of fantasy points from their players this week. And then we have the Anaheim Ducks, the Dallas Stars, the San Jose Sharks, and the Chicago Blackhawks. Then for the hardest schedules, also ranked by opponent strength, we have the Calgary Flames with an absurd .694 opponent record. They play the Bruins, the Leafs, and the Minnesota Wild, so expect some really low-scoring games for Calgary. Then we have the Oilers, the Avalanche, the Golden Knights, and the Vancouver Canucks, all with very high opponent records. It might be tough for some of these teams to come out with a winning record this week. For the teams that have the highest opponent goals against average, we have 5 on this list. These teams could put up a lot of goals, which means the players on these teams can put up a lot of fantasy points for you. The #1 team having the highest opponent goals against average is the Washington Capitals. With a 3.68 GAA, expect them to put up a lot of goals. Then we have the Montreal Canadiens, the Dallas Stars, the Maple Leafs, and the Nashville Predators. The team with the lowest opponent goals against average this week is the Edmonton Oilers with a 2.37 opponent GAA. Then we have the Flames, the Canucks, the Avalanche, and the Coyotes. If you have players on these fantasy teams, they could underperform for you this week, and you might want to avoid picking up players from these teams. Moving on to the best streamers this week, I ranked this by off nights, opponent strength, the value of the player, and I took all things into consideration. The number one guy is Jonathan Marchessault of the Vegas Golden Knights, who has been really picking it up as of late after a pretty bad cold streak. He has 4 games and 4 off nights. I know Vegas has a pretty tough opponent record, but I like them for maximizing your schedule. And this is why at number 2 and 3, we have Chandler Stevenson and Riley Smith. Then at number 4, we have Nico Hischier. High roster percentage, but he's been playing amazing as of late, and the Devils can score a lot of goals. 3 off nights is great, and I could say the same for Martin Necas with 3 off nights. Really solid player. Then we have Arturi Lehkonen and Nichushkin, who play in the top 6 and are both on the first line power play right now. 4 games and 3 off nights is really great. Then we have Jamie Benn, Clayton Keller, Dawson Mercer, Trevor Zegras, and Bowen Byram. Some amazing options. These players have a lot of off nights, and with the way that they've been playing, I expect them to put up a lot of fantasy points for you. For part 2 of the best streamers, these players are definitely going to be more available than some of the players that I mentioned in part 1. So if you're in a league with 10 teams or more, these are probably more suitable for you. I think they are all fantastic options. So let's start it off with number 13, Tyler Bertuzzi of the Detroit Red Wings. He has 5 games and 2 off nights, and he's been really picking it up as of late. And the Red Wings have been winning a lot of games, so I really like Bertuzzi for a stream and a potential long-term hold. At number 14, we have another Red Wings player in Robbie Fabry. Has also played really good as of late. Then we have Nick Schmaltz, Matty Beniers, Jordan Eberle. Eberle is a guy that's really been on a heater the last couple of games, so he could continue this hot streak. Then we have Samuel Girard, who's playing like himself finally. Then we have Seth Jarvis, who had a hat trick the other night. He's putting up multi-point nights as well. Then we have David Perron, Jared McCann, Nick Suzuki, Raphael Harvey-Pinard, and lastly, Josh Anderson. For the goalie streamers this week, we have a bunch of good goalies. I'll go through these rapid fire. Billy Husso, 5 games. I know they have 2 back-to-backs, but he's probably going to get 3 starts this week. He's been playing really well as of late, so I like that if he is somehow available in any of your leagues. Then we have Philip Gustafsson, who has played incredible, some of the best goalie stats in the league. He's been stealing starts from Fleury, so I like him if you just want to stream him, but also a long-term hold. And then we have Phoenix Copley, starting goaltender for the Kings. Canes are amazing this year. They are playing incredible, so I expect him to get a couple of wins for sure. Then we have John Gibson. I know the Ducks are one of the worst teams in the league, but they actually have a really easy opponent record this week, so they could squeeze out a couple of wins. Then at number 5, we have the Red Wings backup goaltender Magnus Hellberg. Because the Wings have 5 games this week, they have 2 back-to-backs, which means that Hellberg is going to likely get 2 starts this week, which is really solid for a goaltender. With the way that the Red Wings have been playing, I think Hellberg could be a very good guy to add for the entire week. Then at number 6, we have Stuart Skinner of the Oilers, who has played way better than Campbell lately. Unfortunately, the Oilers have a tough opponent record, which is why he's lower on this list. But if he can squeeze out a win or 2 and make a lot of saves, I think he could be a worthwhile add. Then lastly, we have Connor Ingram, who has played incredible as of late for the Coyotes. I'm sure the Coyotes management aren't very happy with the way that he has been performing, but he could get 2 or 3 starts this week and make a lot of saves, so I like Ingram as a potential stream. Lastly, we have the best back-to-back / one-night goalie streams, and these are the backup goaltenders on high-caliber teams playing against some of the worst teams in the league. We have Jeremy Swayman against the Flames on Tuesday. We have Magnus Hellberg against the Flyers on Sunday. Yaroslav Halak against the Flyers on Wednesday. Then we have a Noonan of the Avalanche backing up Georgiev with Francois being out with an injury. They play this Sunday on Kraken, and that could be a good W for the Avalanche. Then we have Grubauer / Martin Jones playing the Blue Jackets on Friday. Joseph Woll of the Leafs playing the Flames on Thursday. Alan Montembeault of the Montreal Canadiens playing the Ducks on Friday. Then at number 8, we have Brian Elliott of the Tampa Bay Lightning playing the Sabres on Saturday. And finally, at number 9, we have the rookie goaltender Mads Søgaard playing the Red Wings on Tuesday. Might be a little bit of a risky matchup, but he's been making a lot of saves, so could be a potential good stream. That's pretty much it for the video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are not subscribed, but you watch my videos, you like my content, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button below. I would really appreciate it. And like always, have a good one.